hope you all found it helpful. And I think we've got about 5 minutes for questions now. If anybody has any, could be about anything, medical school life, applications, life as a student.
You said that you got a second degree as well when you went to medical school. What's that like?
That's a good question. So this is actually topical because there's been a bit of controversy about this recently. When you graduate, getting jobs after that is based on a point system, and intercalation, having a second degree in any form, gives you an extra couple of points. So it was beneficial, but then people have decided that they're going to get rid of that, and it's causing a bit of controversy. But the point of that is Edinburgh had made it mandatory for everyone to do this. So I think it was something I would have been interested in anyway, but nobody in my year had a choice. Everyone had to do it. And you take a year out. At Edinburgh, you do it in third year. In some of the universities, you do it in fourth year. And you go into a different degree. So I went into fourth year of a biology degree, and I completed fourth year in the same way that everybody else did, who was doing that degree. And then at the end of it, you get the degree. So it's not the exact same one. They get a Bachelor of Science, and I got a Bachelor of Medical Science. So it's slightly different, but pretty much the same thing. And it was really enjoyable. Yeah, I really liked it. I think it's a nice little break from medicine in one way, and it also allows you to develop more scientific skills. So I did a lab project that was based in a wet lab. So I was doing very technical sort of lab work in terms of, you know, pipetting and microscopes and dissections and fancy stuff that I don't really understand that much. But that was really good for me because I got to gain a lot of skills that I never would have done in a medical degree. And there's also a lot of scope as a doctor to do research later in your career. So this kind of gave me a foundation that will be helpful for that as well, in terms of the skills, but also things like reading scientific papers and analysing papers, and like an understanding of biology that's more intricate than you get necessarily in medicine. Any other questions?
Would you say being in like the medical field or like being a medical student makes you more stressful than you would in any other sort of degree or field of work?
That's a good question.
Sorry, Erin, can you stop your share so that obviously?
Oh, absolutely. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, we're all back towards seeing each other now. Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think it's definitely stressful in some ways. And I think once you graduate and you go into a career as a doctor, that can be really stressful, but it's slightly dependent on the career you choose. For example, I'd say some people would consider, say, a career in A&E can be really stressful, whereas there are other specialties that are less stressful. As a student, I think most people are stressed equally. Like, I wouldn't look at other students who go to my university who are doing different degrees and think that they're that much less stressed out than I am when it comes to like exams and deadlines. During day-to-day life, you're fine, but when it comes to deadlines, it does get pretty stressful, for me anyway, but people deal with those things differently. So.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions for Erin before she disappears?
When you moved to Edinburgh, is there anything that you did that you'd recommend?
For getting into Edinburgh, was that? Yeah, that's a good question. So when I applied for Edinburgh, they did an interview, and they recently introduced an interview process. So the application now is a bit different to when I did it. When I did it, they were very much focused on your personal statement and UK CAT scores. So I think those things are important, but I think a good thing to think about with those is that you can, particularly with personal statement, you can perfect it and you can write a really good personal statement, and that's really to get you an interview, and that's what that will achieve for you. And then from there, getting a place is usually very much based on your interview. So it's kind of like a two-stage process, and once you've done your personal statement and any admissions tests that you need to do, you can move on to thinking about interviews and interview skills and how you can excel in that area too.